Admiral Kethvar stood before the massive holographic display in the Galactic Conquest Council chamber. His purple skin gleamed under the artificial lights as he gestured dismissively at the floating data screens. Around him, representatives from 12 different alien species watched with interest. Humans, Kethvar said with a laugh that sounded like grinding metal. The reports claim they are dangerous, impossible creatures that refuse to die. Stories say they fight even when their bodies are broken. They supposedly never surrender, even when facing certain death. The other council members murmured among themselves. General Voxtar of the Crimson Fleet leaned forward. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence as he spoke. The defeated species all tell similar stories, Admiral. Perhaps we should listen. Kethvar's 4 arms waved in the air. Stories! Nothing but stories told by weak races to explain their shame. How can a species that has not even left their own star system be dangerous? Look at their technology. They still use chemical rockets. Their weapons fire simple metal projectiles. They have no energy shields, no plasma cannons, no faster-than-light travel. On Earth, Captain Lee Minho sat in the underground monitoring, stationed beneath Sol. Banks of computers surrounded him, their screens filled with intercepted alien communications. His team had been tracking the approaching fleet for weeks. The signals were getting stronger. "Sir," said Sergeant Kim Yeon-jun, looking up from his console, "the alien chatter is increasing. They're getting closer." Minho nodded grimly. "Any word from Dr. Park?" "She's still analyzing the technology fragments from the probe that crashed in Alaska. She says she's making progress." 50 kilometers away, Dr. Park Gina worked frantically in her laboratory. The metallic debris from the alien scout probe was unlike anything on Earth. The materials were impossibly light yet stronger than titanium. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing faintly with their own inner light. "The molecular structure doesn't make sense," she muttered to her assistant. "It's like they've learned to bend the laws of physics." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Kethvar pulled up holographic images of Earth. The blue and green planet rotated slowly before the assembled aliens. 7 billion creatures living on one small world, he continued. They fight each other constantly. Wars over resources, territory, beliefs. A species that cannot even unite itself poses no threat to the Galactic Empire. Commander Zilthak of the Crystal Dominion spoke up. His crystalline body chimed like bells as he moved. The Rigelian survivors spoke of human adaptability. They said humans learn impossibly fast. They take our weapons and somehow make them better. Rigelians are cowards, Kethvar spat. They surrendered after losing 2 ships. 2 ships. We lost more vessels to asteroid storms last month. The holographic display shifted to show battle reports from various conquered worlds. Each victory had been swift and decisive. Most species surrendered within days of the first attack. Some tried to negotiate. Others simply fled their homeworlds rather than fight. "Look at our record," Kethvar said proudly. 47 worlds conquered in the last 5 years. Average resistance time, 4 days. The longest any species held out was 3 weeks, and those were the Altarians with their underground cities. On Earth, Minho received an urgent communication from the International Defense Coordination Center. The message was brief but chilling. Massive alien fleet detected at edge of solar system. Estimated arrival, 72 hours. All forces to maximum alert. He turned to his communications officer. "Contact all military commands worldwide. Tell them it's time for Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was humanity's last hope. For months, military leaders from every nation had worked together, sharing technology and resources. Old enemies had become allies in the face of an alien threat. Chinese factories produced American-designed weapons. Russian engineers worked alongside Japanese scientists. European laboratories shared data with African research centers. In the Galactic Council chamber, Kethvar's presentation continued. Intelligence reports suggest humans have a primitive space station orbiting their moon. A few hundred soldiers at most. Their orbital defenses consist of nuclear missiles. Nuclear missiles, as if radiation could penetrate our shields. The assembled aliens laughed. Nuclear weapons were considered ancient technology, something their ancestors might have used thousands of years ago. Modern starship armor could withstand direct hits from stars. The human homeworld will fall in less than 1 day, Kethvar declared. I guarantee it. Our fleet of 3,000 ships will overwhelm them completely. By sunset tomorrow, Earth will be another trophy in our collection. Dr. Park Gina finally made a breakthrough. The alien technology operated on principles she barely understood, but she had found a weakness. The same energy that powered their systems could be disrupted by a specific frequency of electromagnetic radiation. She immediately contacted the Defense Coordination Center. I think I know how to hurt them, she told the general on the other end of the secure line. But we'll need every radio telescope, every broadcasting station, every satellite dish on the planet working together. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to proceed with the invasion. Species after species raised their appendages in agreement. The humans would be eliminated quickly and efficiently. Earth's resources would be harvested. Its population would be enslaved or eliminated, depending on their usefulness. Kethvar felt satisfaction flow through his nervous system. Another easy victory was approaching. The Veltani Empire would grow stronger. His personal reputation would shine brighter. Perhaps the High Command would finally promote him to Supreme Admiral. Prepare the fleet, he commanded his subordinates. Set course for the Sol system. Standard invasion protocol. Orbital bombardment followed by ground assault. Have the troop transports ready for immediate deployment once their defenses collapse. As the council chamber emptied, several of the alien commanders exchanged private glances. Not all of them were convinced that humans would be as easy to defeat as Kethvar claimed. The stories from survivors were remarkably consistent across different species and different battles. On Earth, Captain Minho watched the night sky through his office window. Somewhere out there, thousands of alien ships were racing toward his home. In 72 hours, everything would change. Humanity would either prove itself worthy of survival, or it would join the list of conquered species. He thought about his daughter, sleeping safely in their apartment above the city. She was only 8 years old. She deserved to grow up free, not as a slave to alien masters. He thought about his wife, working at the hospital, saving lives even as death approached from the stars. The preparations had been made. Every soldier, every scientist, every engineer on Earth was ready. Humanity had one advantage the aliens didn't expect. They truly had nothing left to lose. When a species faces extinction, it fights with a desperation that comfortable conquerors cannot understand. Kethvar's fleet moved through hyperspace toward Earth. The Admiral reviewed intelligence reports one final time, confirming his assessment. Humans were just another primitive species, soon to be forgotten. The legends surrounding them were nothing but stories told by defeated enemies. He could not have been more wrong. In less than 3 days, Admiral Kethvar would learn the difference between legends and reality. He would discover that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you refuse to take seriously. The invasion was about to begin, and with it, humanity's greatest test. Earth's children would either rise to meet the challenge or they would perish trying. But they would not surrender. That much was certain. After all, humans didn't know how to give up. The Veltani invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like a metallic storm. 3,000 warships materialized in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with alien symbols and weapon ports. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth appear on the main screen as a tiny blue dot. "Begin standard broadcasting protocol," he ordered. "All frequencies, give them 1 hour to surrender unconditionally." The message went out in a dozen different languages, transmitted by powerful communication arrays. The meaning was simple: surrender now or face total destruction. Most species received this message with horror and immediately began negotiating terms of defeat. On Luna Defense Station, Colonel Kim Taeho read the translation with grim determination. The underground facility had been built in secret over the past 5 years, hidden beneath the moon's surface. It was humanity's first and last line of defense in space. 1 hour, he said to his staff officers. "They're giving us 1 hour to surrender." "Sir," asked Major Park Sun-woo, "what are your orders?" Taeho looked around the command center. 50 of Earth's best military personnel worked at their stations, monitoring the approaching alien fleet. They had volunteered for this mission knowing they might never see home again. Prep all defensive systems. Contact Earth Command. Tell them the invasion has begun. Engineer Cho Yuna worked frantically in the station's weapons bay. For months, she had been modifying human technology with insights gained from studying the crashed alien probe. Nuclear missiles were upgraded with electromagnetic pulse generators. Railguns were fitted with experimental targeting systems. Every weapon had been enhanced beyond its original design. The modifications are untested, she warned the colonel. We don't know if they'll work against alien shields. Then we'll find out together, Taeho replied. The hour passed quickly. Admiral Kethvar received no response from Earth except for increased radio chatter in human languages. He recognized the pattern from previous conquests. The primitives were probably arguing among themselves, trying to decide whether to fight or flee. Begin the assault, he commanded. Target their moon station first. It's their only significant military installation in space. The alien fleet moved forward like a vast predatory swarm. Energy weapons charged to full power. Missile tubes loaded with plasma warheads. Shield generators hummed at maximum capacity. This would be over quickly. On Luna Defense Station, Private Han Jiwo watched the alien ships approach through the observation dome. He was barely 20 years old, fresh from the military academy. His hands shook slightly as he gripped his assault rifle, though he knew small arms would be useless against starships. "Contact!" shouted the radar operator. "Alien missiles incoming!" Colonel Taeho activated the station's defenses. Hidden weapon ports opened across the moon's surface. Railguns emerged from concealed bunkers. Missile silos revealed themselves for the first time. The first exchange of fire lit up the space around Luna like a deadly fireworks display. Alien plasma bolts struck the moon's surface, creating massive craters. But the humans had built their station deep underground, protected by layers of rock and advanced armor. Human missiles reached the alien fleet seconds later. To Admiral Kethvar's surprise, several of his ship's shields flickered and failed. Electromagnetic pulses from the modified warheads disrupted Veltani defensive systems in ways they had never experienced. "Impossible," he muttered, watching two of his destroyers suffer hull damage from primitive human weapons. Engineer Cho Yuna's modifications were working better than expected. The alien shields operated on a specific frequency that Dr. Park Gina had identified from the crashed probe. Human weapons could now penetrate them, at least partially. The battle raged for 6 hours. Luna Defense Station took massive damage but refused to fall. Every time the aliens thought they had destroyed the human defenses, new weapons emerged from different locations. The humans had built redundant systems throughout the moon's structure. Private Han Jiwo found himself volunteering for the most dangerous mission of his young life. A damaged alien scout ship had crashed on the moon's surface, its crew apparently dead. Someone needed to board it and gather intelligence. "I'll go," he told Colonel Taeho. "I studied alien technology at the academy. It's suicide, son. That ship could explode or have automated defenses. Sir, we need to know how their systems work. This might be our only chance." Taeho looked at the young soldier's determined face and nodded. "Take a full squad. Be careful." Han Jiwo led 12 other soldiers across the moon's airless surface toward the crashed ship. The alien vessel was larger up close, its hull covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and move in the light. Emergency airlocks had been damaged in the crash, allowing the humans to enter. Inside, they found 3 dead Veltani crew members. The aliens were humanoid but larger, with gray skin and elongated limbs. More importantly, they found the ship's computer core intact. "Download everything," Han Jiwo ordered his tech specialist. "Every file, every program, every scrap of data. The intelligence they gathered would prove invaluable. Technical specifications for alien weapons and shields. Star charts showing the location of Veltani colonies. Communication codes and military protocols. Most importantly, they learned that the alien fleet had no backup plan for prolonged resistance." Back on Earth, the planet's leaders watched the battle through satellite feeds. The sight of Luna Defense Station holding out against impossible odds inspired hope throughout the world. If a small moon base could hurt the aliens, perhaps Earth itself could survive. Admiral Kethvar found himself facing an unexpected problem. His quick victory was turning into a prolonged siege. The humans were using tactics he had never encountered before. They hid their weapons until the last second. They coordinated attacks from multiple directions. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to learn from each exchange of fire. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "the humans are adapting their targeting systems. Our ships are taking more damage with each wave of their missiles." Kethvar's confidence began to crack. This was not how invasions were supposed to proceed. By now, the humans should have surrendered or been completely destroyed. Instead, they were actually improving their performance during the battle. Engineer Cho Yuna worked around the clock to upgrade the station's remaining weapons. Each time the aliens attacked, she studied their tactics and modified human responses accordingly. Railgun targeting systems learned to predict alien evasive maneuvers. Missile guidance systems adapted to penetrate shifting shield frequencies. "They're learning too," she warned Colonel Taiho. "The aliens are modifying their attacks as well." "Then we'll learn faster," he replied grimly. The battle for Luna Defense Station lasted 3 days. When it finally ended, the human base was heavily damaged, but still operational. More importantly, Admiral Kethvar had lost 47 ships to what he had expected to be a minor obstacle. Private Han Jiwo's intelligence coup had provided Earth with crucial advantages. Human scientists worked frantically to understand alien technology and develop countermeasures. The crashed scout ship became a treasure trove of information about Veltani weaknesses and capabilities. As the alien fleet regrouped and prepared for the assault on Earth itself, Admiral Kethvar began to understand that his intelligence reports had been catastrophically wrong. Humans were not just another primitive species to be easily conquered. They were something far more dangerous, a species that refused to accept defeat and actually grew stronger during combat. The legends about human tenacity were beginning to look less like stories and more like warnings. The real war was just beginning, and for the first time in his long military career, Admiral Kethvar was not certain of victory. The humans had already done the impossible by surviving first contact. What other surprises might they have in store? Earth loomed ahead, blue and beautiful and defiant. Soon, Kethvar would learn just how wrong his assumptions had been about the species that called it home. General Baek Sujin stood in the war room beneath New York City, watching the holographic display of Earth's orbital space. Red dots representing alien ships filled the screen like a swarm of angry insects. The invasion of Earth's surface had begun 6 hours ago, and already the reports were unlike anything in military history. "Status report," she commanded her staff. Colonel Martinez pulled up tactical displays from around the globe. The aliens landed in 12 major cities simultaneously: London, Tokyo, Moscow, Cairo, Sydney, Mexico City, and others. They expected quick surrenders. Instead, they're facing coordinated resistance everywhere. Above ground, the streets of London echoed with the sound of combat. Veltani dropships had landed in Hyde Park, expecting to establish a command center and demand the city's surrender. Instead, they found empty buildings and silent streets. The humans had evacuated civilians and turned their capital into a fortress. Captain Lim Hyenwoo crouched behind an overturned bus, watching alien soldiers advance down Oxford Street. Their powered armor gleamed in the afternoon sun. Energy weapons, crackling with deadly force. They moved with the confidence of a species that had conquered 47 worlds. "Wait for it," he whispered into his radio. "Let them get closer." The aliens approached cautiously, but without real fear. Human weapons had proven surprisingly effective in space, but ground combat would be different. Veltani infantry armor could withstand nuclear blasts. Human bullets would bounce off harmlessly. Lim Hyenwoo waited until the aliens reached the intersection, then triggered the trap. Underground charges detonated simultaneously, collapsing buildings on both sides of the street. Tons of concrete and steel crashed down on the alien patrol. When the dust cleared, 3 Veltani soldiers lay crushed beneath the rubble. "Impossible," radioed the alien squad leader. "Their weapons cannot penetrate our armor." "Sir," replied one of his subordinates, "they didn't use weapons. They dropped buildings on us." Similar scenes played out across the globe. In Tokyo, human defenders used the subway system to attack aliens from below. In Moscow, snipers targeted alien equipment rather than their armored bodies, disabling weapons and communication gear. In Cairo, defenders led alien patrols into ancient catacombs, where heavy armor became a disadvantage. Dr. Shin Mirai worked in a hidden laboratory beneath Seoul, studying captured alien soldiers. The psychological profiles she developed would prove crucial to humanity's survival. Through careful observation, she discovered that Veltani warriors followed rigid tactical doctrines. They had procedures for every situation they had encountered in previous conquests. They don't adapt, she explained to General Bayek via secure communication. When we do something unexpected, they freeze for several seconds while consulting their tactical databases. That's our window of opportunity. The general nodded grimly. How do we exploit this? Chaos. Pure, unpredictable chaos. Do things that make no tactical sense. Force them to improvise, which they're terrible at. In London, Captain Lim Hyun-woo put this advice into practice. Instead of retreating after the building collapse, his squad charged directly at the surviving aliens. The Veltani soldiers hesitated, confused by human behavior that contradicted all their training. Humans were supposed to run when outgunned, not attack. That moment of confusion cost them their lives. Human soldiers had modified their weapons, based on intelligence from the crashed scout ship. Electromagnetically enhanced bullets could penetrate alien armor at close range. The surprise attack succeeded because it made no logical sense. Above Earth's atmosphere, more alien reinforcements arrived hourly. Admiral Kethvar watched the ground reports with growing concern. What should have been a simple mop-up operation was turning into the bloodiest campaign in Veltani history. How many troops have we lost? He asked his aide. 12,000 so far, sir. The humans are using unconventional tactics. They fight from hidden positions, then disappear into underground tunnels. When we send patrols to pursue them, the patrols don't return. In Sydney, Major Kim Young-ho led a squad of engineers through the city's storm drain system. They had spent months preparing for this invasion, turning every tunnel and basement into a potential ambush point. The aliens controlled the surface, but underground belonged to humanity. "Contact ahead," whispered his point man. "Alien patrol in the main tunnel." Kim Young-ho studied the tactical situation. 6 Veltani soldiers in full combat armor armed with plasma rifles. By all military logic, his squad of 12 humans should retreat and call for support. Instead, he did something the aliens never expected. "Flood the tunnel," he ordered. His engineers opened emergency valves, sending thousands of gallons of water rushing through the storm drain. The aliens, weighed down by their heavy armor, were swept away by the torrent. None survived the drowning. "Sir," radioed one of his men, "that was our escape route, too." "Then we'll find another one. We always do." The pattern repeated across Earth. Humans refused to fight by conventional rules. They used the planet itself as a weapon, turning cities into death traps and countryside into killing fields. Every building was a potential fortress. Every tunnel was an ambush point. Every open space was a minefield. Dr. Shin Mirai's psychological profiles proved devastatingly accurate. Veltani soldiers began showing signs of stress and confusion when faced with human unpredictability. Their rigid training had not prepared them for enemies who seemed to make decisions at random. "They're starting to break," she reported to General Bayek. "The captured aliens are exhibiting anxiety behaviors. They can't understand why we fight battles we can't win." "Can't win?" the general replied. "We're not trying to win battles. We're trying to survive wars." In Moscow, human defenders led an entire alien company into the abandoned subway system, then sealed the entrances and flooded the tunnels with poison gas. In Mexico City, engineers collapsed highway overpasses at precisely the right moments to crush alien convoys. In Cairo, defenders used mirrored surfaces to reflect and concentrate sunlight, overheating alien equipment. Captain Lim Hyun-woo found himself commanding a growing force of international soldiers: Americans, British, French, Russian, Chinese, Japanese. Traditional enemies fought side by side against the alien threat. Language barriers meant nothing when survival was at stake. "The aliens expect us to fight like them," he explained to his mixed squad. "Organized, logical, predictable. Instead, we'll fight like humans. Desperate, creative, absolutely insane." His next mission was to capture an intact alien aircraft. Intelligence suggested that human pilots might be able to fly captured Veltani fighters, potentially giving Earth its first space-capable combat force. The plan was typically human in its audacity. kidnap alien pilots and steal their ships. The operation took place at dawn in Hyde Park. A Veltani transport was scheduled to land there for troop resupply. Instead of attacking the ship directly, Lim Hyunwoo's team had prepared a different kind of surprise. They had spent 2 days setting up a massive electromagnetic pulse generator powered by the city's electrical grid. When the alien transport touched down, the EMP blast disabled its systems completely. The ship crashed but remained intact. Human soldiers swarmed the vessel before the alien crew could recover. Within minutes, they had captured 2 Veltani pilots and a fully functional spacecraft. Captain Lim Hyunwoo would soon become the first human to fly an alien fighter in combat. Admiral Kethvar received the report with disbelief. "They captured one of our ships. How is that possible?" "Sir, they used some kind of electromagnetic weapon. Our engineers are analyzing the wreckage of their device now." The Admiral stared at the tactical display showing Earth's surface. Red zones indicated areas under Veltani control, but those zones were shrinking rather than expanding. Worse, the cost of holding them was becoming astronomical. "How many ships have we lost to ground-based weapons?" he asked. 43 fighters and 17 transports, sir. The humans seem capable of creating anti-aircraft weapons from random materials. On Earth, engineer Cho Yuna had been busy. Using knowledge gained from the crashed scout ship, she developed plans for improvised surface-to-air missiles. The weapons were crude but effective, built from industrial materials and powered by automotive batteries. Cities around the world began producing these weapons in hidden factories. Car manufacturing plants retooled to build missiles. Electronics. Companies contributed guidance systems. Even furniture factories helped by producing launcher tubes from metal piping. The war was becoming something Admiral Kethvar had never experienced, a conflict where the enemy grew stronger during combat, rather than weaker. Every day brought new human innovations, new tactics, new ways of turning ordinary objects into deadly weapons. General Baek Jin coordinated the global resistance from her underground command center. Reports flooded in from every continent. The aliens were winning individual battles, but losing the overall war. Their forces were scattered, confused, and increasingly demoralized. "Phase 2 begins tomorrow," she announced to her staff. "It's time to take the fight to them." The humans were no longer content to simply survive the invasion. They were ready to start winning it. Commander Oh Sung-won floated in zero gravity inside the captured Veltani transport, watching his space marines prepare for humanity's first offensive operation beyond Earth's atmosphere. 3 weeks had passed since the invasion began, and the impossible was happening. Humans were winning. "Final equipment check," he called to his squad. 24 elite soldiers from 6 different nations, all volunteers for what everyone assumed would be a suicide mission. They wore modified spacesuits cobbled together from human and alien technology, armed with weapons that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. Lieutenant Park Dabin worked frantically at the alien ship's communication console, her fingers dancing across controls that had taken her days to understand. She had a gift for languages and codes, and alien encryption systems were just another puzzle to solve. "I'm in," she announced with satisfaction. "I've broken their tactical frequency. We can monitor their fleet communications in real time." Through the transport's viewports, Earth hung below them like a blue and white jewel. But their destination lay ahead, the Veltani command ship, a massive dreadnought that Admiral Kethvar believed was safely protected by 3 rings of escort vessels. Back on Earth, Captain Lim Hyunwoo climbed into the cockpit of the stolen alien fighter. After 5 days of intensive study, human engineers thought they understood the basic controls. The ship's systems were surprisingly intuitive, designed for a species with similar hand-eye coordination to humans. "All systems show green," reported engineer Cho Yuna from the makeshift control tower. "Remember, we don't know the limits of this technology. Don't push it too hard." Lim Hyunwoo grinned behind his helmet visor. "I thought pushing too hard was what humans do best." The alien fighter lifted off from the hidden airstrip in the Scottish Highlands, its engines producing a sound unlike anything on Earth. Within seconds, it was climbing toward space at impossible speeds. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had a presence in the space battle. Admiral Kethvar stood on his command bridge, reviewing casualty reports that defied all military logic. His invasion force had been reduced by 60% in 3 weeks. The humans were not just resisting, they were actively hunting his scattered units with tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from our ground commanders in 7 different cities. They're requesting immediate evacuation." "Surrender?" Kethavar's voice rose to a screech. "Veltani forces do not surrender to primitives." "Sir, the humans have turned their cities into death traps. Our troops report that every building contains hidden weapons. Every street has underground tunnels. Every vehicle might explode without warning. The casualties are becoming unbearable." Meanwhile, Sergeant Kang Yunji led her demolitions team through the subway tunnels beneath Paris. She had developed a new specialty, turning alien technology against itself. Captured Veltani weapons could be modified to create incredibly powerful explosives. "The aliens think their technology is so advanced that we can't understand it," she explained to her team as they prepared the charges. "They're wrong. Complex technology just means more ways to break it." Above them, a Veltani supply convoy was scheduled to pass over the Champs-Élysées in 30 minutes. The aliens had learned to avoid ground-level streets, but they still used predictable aerial routes. That predictability would be their downfall. Lieutenant Park Dabin's breakthrough in alien communications proved devastating to Veltani operations. For the first time, humans could monitor enemy plans in real time. Every troop movement, every supply run, every tactical decision was intercepted and analyzed. "They're planning a major assault on Beijing tomorrow," she reported to Earth Command. 600 troops, supported by airstrikes. They expect to overwhelm the Chinese defenders. Instead, the Chinese were ready. General Liu Wei had prepared a welcome that would become legendary among human resistance fighters. The alien assault force flew directly into the most elaborate trap in military history. Underground, Sergeant Kang Yunji's explosives detonated, with perfect timing. The shockwave traveled through the tunnels beneath Paris, emerging at precisely calculated points to collapse 3 city blocks. The alien supply convoy vanished in a cloud of debris and electromagnetic pulses. "Direct hit," she reported calmly. "Target eliminated. No alien survivors." In space, Commander Oh Sung-wan's boarding party approached the Veltani command ship undetected. They were using a captured transport with valid alien identification codes, making them invisible to enemy sensors. The plan was audacious beyond belief. Capture Admiral Kethavar himself and seize control of the entire invasion fleet. 2 minutes to docking, announced their pilot, a former NASA astronaut who had learned to fly alien spacecraft in record time. "Remember, we need the Admiral. Alive! He's our ticket to ending this war." The docking proceeded without incident. Veltani security was focused on threats from Earth, not from their own ships. The human boarding party moved through the command ship's corridors like ghosts, using captured alien uniforms and identification to avoid detection. Captain Lim Hyeon-woo's stolen fighter arrived at the battle zone just as the boarding operation began. He found himself facing 12 Veltani interceptors, ships designed specifically for space combat. By all logic, he should have been destroyed instantly. Instead, he did something no alien pilot expected. He flew directly through the middle of their formation at maximum speed, firing at random targets while performing impossible maneuvers. The Veltani pilots, trained for orderly combat, couldn't adapt to his chaotic flying style. "What is that human doing?" one alien pilot asked his wingman. "His tactics make no sense. He's not following any pattern. I can't predict his next move." That unpredictability saved Lim Hyeon-woo's life. While the aliens tried to understand his flying style, he shot down 4 of their fighters and damaged 3 others. His success had nothing to do with superior technology and everything to do with human creativity. On the command ship, Commander Oh Sung-hwan's team reached the bridge without firing a shot. Admiral Kethavar stood with his back to the entrance, studying tactical displays that showed his forces being systematically destroyed across Earth's surface. "Admiral," Oh Sung-hwan announced, his voice carrying clearly across the bridge, "you are now a prisoner of the human military." Kethavar turned slowly, his 4 eyes widening with shock. Behind him, his bridge crew reached for their weapons, only to find themselves facing 24 human soldiers who had somehow infiltrated the most secure ship in the fleet. Impossible, the Admiral whispered. This ship is surrounded by escorts. Our sensors would have detected any approaching vessels. You detected a Veltani transport returning from a supply run, Oh Sung-hwan replied. You just didn't know humans were flying it. Lieutenant Park Davin had already taken control of the ship's communications array. With her inside knowledge of alien protocols, she began broadcasting new orders to the Veltani fleet. Stand down all military operations and await further instructions. The response was immediate chaos. Alien commanders demanded confirmation of the orders. Some ships began withdrawing from Earth orbit. Others continued their attacks, unsure whether the communications were genuine. In Beijing, the expected alien assault turned into a massacre, but not of humans. General Liu Wei had used Lieutenant Park's intelligence to position anti-aircraft weapons at every approach route. The Veltani attack force flew directly into a wall of missile fire that destroyed half their number before they could react. The survivors found themselves trapped in a city that had been evacuated except for military personnel. Every building was a fortress. Every street was a killing field. The aliens who had expected to overwhelm human defenders instead found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. Admiral Kethvar watched in horror as his carefully planned invasion collapsed around him. The tactical displays showed Veltani forces in full retreat on 4 continents. His orbital fleet was scattered and demoralized. Most devastating of all, the humans had proved they could operate in space. How? He asked Commander Oh Sung-hwan. How is any of this possible? You had no space technology, no energy weapons, no defensive shields. We had something better, the human replied. We had nothing left to lose. Sergeant Kong Yunji's demolitions expertise had spread throughout the human resistance. Cities around the world now bristled with improvised explosives made from alien technology. Every Veltani patrol faced the possibility of sudden annihilation from weapons that hadn't existed a month earlier. Captain Lim Hyun-woo's aerial victories had inspired other human pilots. Captured alien fighters were being reverse-engineered in hidden factories. Within days, Earth would have its own space force, built from a combination of human determination and stolen technology. The legends that Admiral Kethvar had dismissed were proving to be understatements. Humans didn't just refuse to surrender, they turned defeats into victories, weaknesses into strengths, desperation into determination. As reports continued to flood in from across the solar system, Kethvar began to understand the magnitude of his error. He had not invaded a primitive world full of weak creatures. He had attacked a species that treated impossible odds as a personal challenge. The war was far from over, but its outgo, Admiral Song Woo-bin, stood on the bridge of the first human starship, watching the jump coordinates appear on screens that had been alien technology just weeks ago. The vessel beneath his feet was a hybrid creation, human engineering merged with captured Veltani systems, producing something neither species had imagined possible. Jump drive charging to 90%, reported his navigation officer, Commander Park Ji-soo. She had been a civilian astronomer before the invasion, but humanity's desperate need for space-qualified personnel had promoted her rapidly through the ranks. Around them, the mixed human-alien fleet prepared for humanity's first strike beyond the solar system. Captured Veltani ships flew alongside hastily converted human vessels. Korean, American, Chinese, Russian, and European flags painted on hulls that gleamed with alien metal. Sir, announced Lieutenant Yu Dae-sung from the communications station. Major Yoon Hyun reports that Deep Reconnaissance Mission Alpha is ready to begin. Major Yoon Hyun checked her equipment one final time before entering the captured Veltani stealth ship. Her mission was to penetrate deep into alien territory and gather intelligence about their home systems. It was a journey from which she might never return, but someone had to scout the path for humanity's expanding war effort. All systems green, she reported to Admiral Song. Beginning jump sequence to the Veltani colony at Kepler 442. The stealth ship vanished into hyperspace, carrying humanity's first ambassador to the stars, though her message would be delivered with weapons rather than words. On Earth, Dr. Young Kyuho worked frantically in his laboratory beneath the ruins of MIT. The breakthrough he was pursuing would change everything. Faster-than-light communication that didn't require physical ships to carry messages. If successful, humanity would be able to coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. "The quantum entanglement field is stabilizing," he reported to his team. "We should have real-time communication with Admiral Song's fleet within the hour." Above ground, the remnants of the Veltani occupation force huddled in heavily fortified positions. What had begun as an invasion had become a desperate struggle for survival. Human forces surrounded every alien outpost, cutting off supplies and reinforcements. Colonel Kim Tae-ho, the hero of Luna Defense Station, now commanded Earth's orbital defenses. The space around Earth had become a graveyard of alien ships, their hulks serving as raw materials for humanity's growing fleet. "Contact Admiral Song," he ordered his communications team. "Tell him we're ready for Phase 3. Earth's defenses can handle any remaining Veltani forces in the system." In hyperspace, Admiral Song's fleet raced toward their first target, a Veltani mining colony that supplied rare materials to their war machine. Intelligence gathered from captured aliens suggested the colony was lightly defended, expected to be safe from any human retaliation. That intelligence was about to prove catastrophically wrong. Major Yoon Ha-yoon's stealth ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, her sensors immediately scanning for enemy vessels. What she found exceeded all expectations. The system contained not just mining facilities, but a major shipyard producing Veltani warships. "This is Reconnaissance Mission Alpha," she transmitted using the new quantum communication system. "I've found a primary military target. 12 capital ships under construction, plus defensive platforms and escort vessels." Dr. Jung Kyu-ho's breakthrough worked perfectly. Her message reached Earth instantaneously, then was relayed to Admiral Song's fleet. For the first time in galactic history, a species could coordinate military operations across interstellar distances in real time. Admiral Song modified his battle plan immediately. Instead of hitting the mining colony, his fleet would strike the shipyard. Destroying those 12 ships under construction would cripple Veltani expansion plans for years. "All ships, new coordinates," he broadcast to his mixed fleet. "We're going hunting." Back on Earth, engineer Cho Yuna had solved the puzzle of Veltani jump drives. Human scientists could now build their own hyperspace engines, though the design was still crude compared to alien technology. More importantly, they had learned how to detect ships entering and leaving hyperspace. "Admiral Song's fleet just jumped to Kepler 442, she reported to Earth Command. "Their arrival should coincide with Major Yoon's reconnaissance data. The Veltani shipyard never saw the attack coming." Major Yoon Ha-yoon had spent 3 days mapping their defensive positions, identifying blind spots in their sensor coverage. When Admiral Song's fleet dropped out of hyperspace, they did so precisely, where the aliens couldn't detect them. "All ships commence attack," Song commanded. "Target the ships under construction first. We can't let them escape." The battle was brief, but devastating. Human ships used tactics learned from months of desperate fighting on Earth. They attacked from multiple directions simultaneously, used captured Veltani ships to cause confusion, and employed weapons the aliens had never encountered before. Engineer Cho Yuna's modifications to human missiles proved decisive. Electromagnetic pulse warheads disabled Veltani shields while kinetic penetrators punched through their hulls. The alien defenders found themselves facing weapons that combined human ingenuity with their own technology. "Shipyard destroyed," reported Captain Lee Dong-yun from the converted human destroyer. "All 12 capital ships eliminated. Defensive platforms neutralized." Admiral Song watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, by destroying a major Veltani military installation, but the victory came with a price. The attack had revealed humanity's capabilities to the entire Veltani Empire. There would be no more surprise attacks, no more easy victories. The aliens would be ready for them now. Major Yoon Ha-yoon's reconnaissance missions continued throughout the sector. Her stealth ship visited system after system, mapping Veltani positions and identifying weaknesses. Each report she sent back to Earth contained invaluable intelligence about alien military capabilities. "The Veltani Empire is larger than we thought," she transmitted after her 5th mission. "They control over 200 star systems, but they're spread thin, trying to maintain order across too much territory. Most of their colonies have minimal defenses." Dr. Jung Kyu-ho's communication breakthrough had created an unexpected advantage. Human forces could now coordinate attacks. across multiple star systems, something the Veltani had never faced before. Their empire was built on the assumption that faster-than-light communication was impossible. "We can hit 12 targets simultaneously," Admiral Song explained to the Earth Command staff via quantum link. "The aliens won't know where we'll strike next because we can change our plans instantaneously." On Earth, the last Veltani strongholds were falling one by one. Human forces had learned to use alien technology against itself, turning captured weapons into devastating improvised explosives. The invaders who had expected to conquer Earth in days were now fighting for their lives. Colonel Kim Taiho coordinated the final assaults from Luna Defense Station. The scarred facility had become a symbol of human resistance, its damaged walls a reminder of what determination could accomplish against impossible odds. "All alien ground forces have surrendered or been eliminated," he reported to Earth Command. "The home system is secure. We're ready to export this war to the enemy." Admiral Song's fleet had grown to over 50 ships, a mixture of captured alien vessels and hastily converted human spacecraft. Each victory brought new resources and technology, allowing humanity to build an increasingly powerful space navy. The psychological impact on the Veltani Empire was becoming critical. Reports of human victories spread faster than official communications, carried by panicked refugees and defeated military units. Species throughout the galaxy began to whisper about the impossible, a primitive world that had not only survived invasion, but was now attacking its would-be conquerors. Major Yoon Hyun's latest reconnaissance mission brought back the most valuable intelligence yet: the location of the Veltani Empire's main supply depot, a massive facility that coordinated logistics for their entire military. Destroying it would cripple their ability to maintain their far-flung empire. "It's heavily defended," she warned Admiral Song. 200 ships minimum, plus orbital platforms and ground-based weapons. This won't be like the shipyard." Song studied the tactical data with his command staff. The supply depot was indeed a fortress, built to withstand siege by multiple enemy fleets. Taking it would require everything humanity had learned about alien warfare. "We'll need a full-scale assault," he decided. "Every ship we can spare, plus support from Earth's new orbital platforms. This will be the largest space battle in human history." Engineer Cho Yuna had been working on new weapons specifically for this kind of target. Massive electromagnetic pulse bombs that could disable entire space stations. Kinetic bombardment systems that turned ordinary asteroids into planet-killing weapons. Humanity was preparing to fight the kind of battle that traditionally required centuries of technological development. Dr. Jung Kyu-ho's communication network had spread throughout human space, allowing instant coordination between dozens of ships and installations. No military force in galactic history had possessed such perfect information. Sherry, Admiral Kethvar sat in his prison cell aboard his own former flagship, now under human command. Through the transparent walls, he could see Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel. The planet that was supposed to be his greatest conquest had become the symbol of his civilization's greatest defeat. He was recording his final message to the Veltani High Command, though he doubted they would listen. Leaders who had never faced human opponents would dismiss his warnings just as he had once dismissed the legends about human tenacity. "This is Admiral Kethvar, former commander of the 3rd Invasion Fleet," he spoke into the recording device. "I am transmitting this message as a warning to all Veltani forces. The creatures we call humans are not what our intelligence reports claimed. They are not primitive. They are not weak. They are something far more dangerous than we ever imagined." Outside his cell, Commander Oh Seung-hwan reviewed reports from the Battle of the Central Supply Depot. Admiral Song's assault had succeeded beyond all expectations. The massive Veltani Logistics Center had been completely destroyed, along with its defending fleet of 300 ships. "The alien empire is collapsing," Oh Seung-hwan reported to Earth Command. "Without their central supply depot, Veltani forces throughout the galaxy are running out of fuel, ammunition, and spare parts. Colony after colony is declaring independence or surrendering to human forces." On Earth, President Choi In-sung prepared for humanity's first address to the Galactic Council. The massive alien organization that had once seemed impossibly distant was now requesting Earth's participation as a major power. The species that had been dismissed as primitive savages 6 months ago was being invited to help shape galactic politics. The irony is not lost on me, President Choi told his advisors. They ignored us when we were weak, and now they fear us because we've proven to be strong. Fleet Admiral Jang Minky stood on the bridge of humanity's first purpose-built starship, the Soul, watching construction crews finish work on dozens of similar vessels. Earth's orbital shipyards had grown from nothing to the largest shipbuilding operation in the galaxy in less than 8 months. Status report on the new fleet, he requested from his aide. 47 ships completed, sir, another 80 under construction. The hybrid human Veltani technology is proving superior to either species' original designs. Our engineers estimate we'll have the largest space navy in the galaxy within 2 years. The transformation was remarkable. Human creativity combined with alien technology had produced innovations that neither species could have achieved alone. Ships that could travel faster and fight harder than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ambassador Lee Ha-young reviewed her briefing materials as her ship approached the Galactic Council's main station. She would be Earth's first diplomatic representative to alien species, tasked with establishing humanity's place in interstellar politics. Remember, President Choi had told her before departure, 6 months ago, they thought we were myths. Now, they know we're real. Make sure they understand we intend to stay that way. Major Yoon Hyun's reconnaissance missions had evolved into something much larger. Her small fleet of stealth ships now conducted diplomacy as well as intelligence gathering, making contact with species throughout the galaxy. Many wanted to ally with the humans who had defeated the supposedly invincible Veltani Empire. The Altarians have agreed to a mutual defense treaty, she reported from the Vega system. They're offering us access to their mining technology in exchange for protection from future Veltani aggression. Similar offers are coming from the Rigelians and the Centauri Federation. Dr. Jung Kyuho's communication network had become the backbone of an expanding human civilization. Real-time coordination across hundreds of star systems allowed for unprecedented cooperation between distant colonies and fleets. We're no longer just defending Earth, he explained to the Global Science Council. We're building a new kind of civilization, one where distance doesn't limit cooperation. Other species are studying our communication technology, trying to understand how we achieved something they thought was impossible. Engineer Cho Yuna had been promoted to Director of Advanced Weapons Development, overseeing research facilities on 12 different worlds. Her work, combining human and alien technology, had revolutionized warfare throughout the galaxy. The Veltani aren't the only aggressive species out there, she warned in her latest report. But they're all learning the same lesson. Attacking humans is a mistake they'll only make once. Admiral Kethavar's final message continued with growing desperation. We thought their technology was primitive because we measured them by our standards. We failed to understand that humans don't just use technology, they improve it. They take our weapons and make them better. They study our ships and build superior versions. The prison cell's door opened and Admiral Song entered. The human officer studied the defeated alien with a mixture of curiosity and pity. Your message won't change anything, Song told him. Your government will dismiss your warnings just as you dismiss the stories about human determination. They'll send another fleet, and we'll destroy it too. Why? Kethvar asked. You've already won. Earth is safe. Our empire is collapsing. Why continue fighting? Song considered the question carefully. Because 6 months ago, you came to our home with the intention of enslaving or exterminating our entire species. We're making sure that never happens again, to us or to anyone else. Ambassador. Lee Ha-young's arrival at the Galactic Council station created a sensation. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to see the human diplomat whose people had achieved the impossible. Many brought gifts and offers of alliance. Others simply wanted to understand how a single world had toppled an interstellar empire. Honored delegates, she addressed the assembled council. Earth comes before you not as conquerors, but as protectors. We've learned that the galaxy contains species who view others as resources to be exploited. We intend to ensure that such attitudes become extinct. The speech was broadcast throughout the galaxy. On Veltani worlds, rebellions erupted as subject species realized their oppressors could be defeated. On neutral worlds, governments began reassessing their defensive capabilities. Throughout space, the name human was spoken with a mixture of respect and fear. Fleet Admiral Jang Minky's growing navy had begun establishing patrol routes throughout former Veltani territory. Human ships appeared wherever oppressed species called for help, often arriving before anyone thought rescue was possible. The quantum communication network gives us a decisive advantage, he explained to his fleet commanders. We can respond to threats faster than anyone can plan them. Our enemies are always fighting yesterday's battle while we're already planning tomorrow's. Private Han Jiwo, the young soldier who had boarded the first captured alien ship, now commanded his own vessel in the Human Expeditionary Force. His ship, the Incheon, patrolled the border regions where human space met unknown territories. Contact. Ahead, his sensor operator reported. Unknown vessel, not matching any known design. Han Jiwo studied the approaching ship with interest. It was clearly alien, but from a species humanity had never encountered. The vessel was transmitting basic, mathematical sequences, the universal language of peaceful contact. Send a response, he ordered. Mathematical progression, then our standard greeting. Let's see if we can make some new friends. Dr. Shin Mirei had established the Institute for Galactic Psychology on Luna, studying the mental patterns of dozens of alien species. Her work helped human diplomats understand how to communicate with beings whose thought processes were utterly different from Earth's creatures. Each species we encounter has unique psychological patterns, she explained to Ambassador Lee via quantum link. But there's one constant throughout the galaxy: respect for strength combined with restraint. They fear aggressive conquerors, but they trust protectors. Admiral Kethvar completed his final message with a warning that would prove prophetic. The humans have proven that legends can become reality. They were stories told by defeated enemies, but those stories were true. Now new legends are spreading throughout the galaxy, stories about a species that fights not for conquest, but for justice. These new legends are spreading faster than we can contain them. President Choi In-seong's address to Earth's population was broadcast simultaneously to human colonies on 17 different worlds. The species that had been confined to one planet 8 months ago now claimed territory across dozens of star systems. We did not choose this war, he told the assembled billions, but we chose how to fight it. We chose to protect the innocent rather than exploit them. We chose to build rather than destroy. The galaxy is watching us now, learning from our example. We must prove worthy of their trust. On distant Veltani homeworlds, the old government fell as subject species rebelled with human support. Democratic councils replaced military dictatorships. Trade agreements replaced tribute systems. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was being transformed into something unprecedented, a voluntary federation of equal partners. Engineer Cho Yuna's latest project involved cooperation with former enemies. Veltani scientists worked alongside human researchers, developing technology that served peaceful purposes rather than conquest. Their joint,